Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live broadcast from the life of a Utah medium. I am your host, Caden, and welcome to a very cold, very dark night here in Lehi, Utah. We're doing this show a little bit different. Normally, I do it in the office, and we've got a little bit of quiet and all that, but, you know, it's kind of a lazy night, and that seemed like just a little bit too much work. I needed to set up the power cord and, walk the 15 feet from our room into the office. And we decided not to do that. So tonight is going to be different. We're going to be recording from the room. So we do have kids awake. So if you randomly hear some squawking in the background, that it would be the children saying hello. Welcome back, guys. It has been an absolutely wild week. Wild is putting it very mildly. We got a lot of updates for everybody, a lot to discuss, some updates on the show platform, some updates on how the podcast is going to go, some updates on towing life, the roadside life, all that good stuff. Some updates on lots of stuff. We got all kinds of updates for everybody. So that would be the reason that we called this Let's Talk About Life. Because there's a lot going on. So let's just jump right into it because I got a whole show for you. There is a lot going on. First of all, I know that I did a little bit on the podcast. I want to give everybody a shout out for those that came out to the Benson Gristmill gallery event. That actually went amazingly. We ended up having 20 show up for it, which is a fantastic show up for that event. It was bitter cold. It was absolutely cloud covered, and it was just the perfect setting to do a gallery reading and an investigation at Benson Gristmill. We had an absolutely amazing time doing the gallery reading. We had a lot of interaction, and I think we, for the most part, got to everybody's requests that were there for the gallery. There may have been one or two people that we missed on a reading for, but generally it was like people that came together as a group got a reading together as a group. So that was a lot of fun. So thank you so much to everybody that came out and participated in that. So much fun. I love doing events like that where we have that good of a turnout, where we have that much interaction. We have that many spirits that show up and follow families in. It makes it such a good time. So, yeah, that was, I couldn't have asked for a better event. So everybody knows by now, and if you don't, if you're listening for the first time, we will tell you, we do have another gallery reading coming up. It is November the 15th. That is the third Friday in November, and it is Synchronicities. It's another joint gallery with myself and Esther Graves. For those of you, the two that showed up at the last one that was between the two of us, if you ask them, it's a great time. When you take one medium and put us in another room with another medium and say, here, read the spirits that are in the room. The reading personalities are a little bit different, so you get a different perspective from each person. And we're going to give you the same information in a different tone. So, it may be kind of like the good cop, bad cop kind of thing, except for it's all good information, just different ways of giving it across. So come out, participate in that. The tickets are on sale for that, $40 a piece. Those tickets are on sale on Eventbrite. So if you have not already done so, jump on there and purchase your tickets. And, if you don't want to purchase them that way, if you would rather get the money to us directly so that, you don't have a card or you have cash or whatever the case may be, that is perfectly fine. Just let us know, send us a message, and we will let you know what we're doing, what's going on, and we'll just take it as it comes. Those tickets are $40. They are at Synchronicities The event goes from 7 to 9 p.m. that night. So come participate. You're going to have a blast. You're going to love it. If you miss out on that one, there are more events coming up. I talked before about I'm going to reach out to Family Tree Restaurant and look at setting another event. I have not done that yet. I am a slacker. Actually, I'm not a slacker. I'll explain why I have not done so yet here in a little bit in the show. So, but there are other events coming up. We will be doing those gallery reading sessions there at Synchronicities monthly. So if you miss it this month, there's another one coming up next month. So pay attention for the event on that and for the ticket sales. We are working to put together more events, probably starting January or February of next year. We're getting to that time of year where it's kind of time to step back and slow down a little bit as far as Paranormal Field goes. We'll still have cases and things like that, but as far as doing major events, we won't do that. So don't be surprised if we don't have another event until January. It's getting to that time of year where, we adults need to have some extra money around. So, yeah, I think that kind of sums up where we're at with events. Let's talk about the show schedule. Man, that's a mouthful, huh? Let's talk about the show schedule and some updates and some things that are going to change around with the shows. So we will still continue to have our Wednesday night Spreaker live broadcast, 8 p.m. right here on Spreaker. There have been some questions on that, so I wanted to answer that here live. And then when those of you that find it or that ask that question and you know where to look now, when you hear this back, it'll just be a reminder. I do the live broadcast, and it is aired live. You have to be on Spreaker to listen to the live broadcast. So if you're not, sign up, log in here and listen to it. I share the link every week, so you'll be able to jump on here and listen. If you miss out on the live show and you are not on here to chat in or ask any questions, while we're doing the live show, if you Facebook message me, I can get the responses and I will answer your question here live on the show. If you get on here and you sign up, you can join the show chat and I will be able to answer your questions again live from there. If you have my number, text me. Everybody in the world right now that listens back to this in a month or two from now is going to be able to hear that ding go off from that text. That's fine. That lets everybody know there was a question. Then I can text you and let you know, I can respond to you on the air and let you know what the answer is. Don't be afraid to ask questions, guys. That's how everybody learns. You may be the one that asked the question, but I guarantee you there's 10 or 15 others with the same question. So we will continue to have the live broadcast. It will be right here, the same place, 8 o'clock. And if you miss out on the live broadcast, it does save. So it will share to Spreaker's page. So if you have a Spreaker account, you can find it that way. If you don't, it is being broadcasted to YouTube. So if everybody gets on YouTube, you can look up the Life of a Utah Medium, and it will pull up this show. You can also get on to whatever your podcast platform is. So if you get on to Spotify and listen to podcasts, it will share to Spotify. If you get on to Apple iTunes, it is broadcasted there. If you get on to Google Podcasts, it's on there. So if you miss out, guys, it does get shared around, and it's easily accessible. So don't be afraid to look up wherever you look up your shows. Get on YouTube. It shows me how many people are on there. And if you have questions, of course, you can always jump on and leave me a comment on whatever episode that you listen to. And I get that notification as well. So feel free to do that at the same time. As far as the podcast is concerned, we're going to change the podcast up a little bit because we had a schedule of you getting 2 podcasts and a Spreaker live broadcast a week. And that was very, very easy to do when life wasn't running us absolutely ragged. Now that we have the business going, and I know kind of what our schedule is going to be. Obviously, I can't predict the schedule completely, but basically I'm on call 24/7 and running calls. And when we do shut down the call volume for a couple of hours to do the shows and take time to eat and stuff like that, we're finding out that we're missing out on calls. So we're not going to shut it off for very long at night, long enough just to do the live show or the podcast. So I need to know everybody's opinion. Would you rather have this show, the podcast, released on Monday or Friday? Would you rather have it to listen to on the weekend, or would you rather have it to listen to get your week started? I have some show ideas, some ways to kind of start or end the show, what have you, when we do the once a week show. It will still probably be within 30 to 45 minutes. It's not going to be like an hour and a half long show. We will pick one topic a week, and we can release that to you once a week, either Monday or Friday, and then do your live broadcast still Wednesday nights. So let me know. Shoot me a message. Shoot me a text. I'm going to put together another podcast because, of course, we missed the one on Monday, and we missed our live broadcast promise on Friday. The reading and the show and everything went a little bit crazier than we expected it would. And so that did not happen. We got extremely busy guiding around groups and kind of showing everybody Benson Gristmill that came out. A lot of people listen to this show. So for those of you that said that you do listen to the Life of a Utah Medium, thank you very much for that. We appreciate that very much. Every episode that gets listened to makes a difference. So thank you so much for everybody for your continued support. And we'll keep putting together an amazing show as long as we have people listening to it. One person listening to it is definitely worth it. So we'll keep it rolling. So that is kind of where we're at. So I need to get some user feedback. I need to listeners to chime in. Let me know what you would rather hear, either Monday or Friday. I will put it on the Facebook page, and I will put it on my Facebook page as well. So if you're following me on any of those, you will have a chance to get your voice heard. We'll kind of take everybody's thoughts into consideration, and then we will let you know. We will still probably do a dual podcast this week and next, just to kind of, not cut it off cold turkey. And apparently I'm going to start yawning now, so if I yawn in the middle of saying something, I apologize. It has been an absolutely wild week. So tomorrow, guys, is Thanksgiving. Well, we're going to skip a month. Tomorrow is Halloween, guys. We have made it through the month of October, and it seems like I just released the podcast at the first of the month that said, let's talk about what is Halloween at the end of the month. So we will put that show together for you. That will be the podcast on Friday. And then we will start talking all kinds of subjects. With the show being once a week, that gives us time to put together a really good show for you and start putting together some interviews and some stuff like that. So pay attention for those. I am working on putting some stuff together. A lot of you that know Tim from the Supernatural Hour and from Advanced Paranormal, we are going to put together a show with him. We are also going to put together a show with Shane from Bear River Paranormal out in Logan. So pay attention for those. They are coming up. I'm not announcing when. We are still in the process of scheduling those and making things happen. So just be paying attention for that kind of stuff. And let's see, what else do we got for you guys? I think as far as the shows and that kind of stuff, I think that is the updates. If you have any questions, of course, let me know, and we'll answer every question that we get. And it may remind me to put something on the podcast. So let's jump into this crazy life now that we have with Mattinson Roadside and Recovery. For those of you that may be joining us for the first time, we had the wild idea that instead of working for somebody else and not enjoying what I was doing working for somebody else's roadside company, we would get the stuff together, we would get the information together, and form our own company. And we talked about it for a while. It was not a decision that we made overnight. It was something that we weren't really sure how well it would take off. We weren't really sure what direction it would go. We weren't sure really about much of it. We weren't sure really where to start. I knew, being in the industry, I knew some of the contacts and some of the companies to start talking to, but we weren't sure really where that was going to lead us. And so we started with that. I contacted the state of Utah and asked them what the requirements were and what the process was for setting up our own company. And it has been a night, guys. It turned out that it was actually a fairly simple process as far as the registering the business with the state was concerned, and incorporating the business. So we came up with a name, and that was the easiest part of the whole ordeal. That took us about 5 seconds. Came up with a business name and started thinking about logo ideas and filed it with the state. And, I figured it would take a few weeks. And so we had some time to kind of start making some phone calls and start putting some ideas together. And 2 hours later, I got an email that said we had incorporated and that we had a legal business together. And so we kind of went, well, crap. Okay, here we go. So I started making contacts. I started getting a hold of the companies that I knew would be a good start and asking them what their requirements were. And we found out that there was some different insurance. Oh, guys, this is getting ridiculous. I don't know why I'm yawning so bad tonight. But it turned out that we had some different insurance requirements. And so we figured all of that out, put the money into it, got the insurance in place. Once we did that, it was only 24 hours after that we had our first major contract. We submitted it to a company called Honk, and they are an insurance dispatch company. So if you call Geico or you call Progressive or USAA or Liberty Mutual, they contact one of a few dispatch companies, and they call us up as roadside companies and say, hey, I got a stranded motorist. So we put all of that together fairly quickly, and we figured, it might start out with $100 or $200 here every once in a while, and it would be slow going. Well, it wasn't exactly slow going. We have officially been in business 9 days as of today. 9 days is it. We incorporated almost 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks on Friday was when we got our incorporation papers. On Monday, I contacted the insurance agent and got our insurance in place. And Tuesday, we signed the paperwork on our first contract. As of Tuesday, maybe it was Monday night. I think Monday night we signed our first contract. I was officially activated Tuesday morning and started getting our first calls. So it's actually only been 8 days today. We've been running for 8 days, and everybody that knows our van, that van is gone as of tomorrow, hopefully. if not Friday for sure. That van, man, it has cost me so much money already. So, just today, let's give you just today's figures. And this has been a repeated problem for the last 3 or 4 days. Just today, this morning, I missed out on $200 worth of calls in about a 2.5 hour time frame. And that affects our dispatch rate because, obviously if we can't make calls, then they don't want to give you any. So that affects our dispatch rate. I was called 9 times by the company today. And only one of those calls should I have had to have declined. And I didn't technically decline any of them today. They just didn't like the ETAs that I had to give them because of the van. We got sick of it. Got really pissed off when I realized how much money we had lost today. And I went over to a dealership in Salt Lake, dealership that I had been to already once before, and talked to the dealer there and got asking some questions. And we picked out a 2012 Chevy Equinox. Hopefully we're picking it up tomorrow. And then it's going to be balls to the wall. We're going to run like crazy. That vehicle alone, first of all, with our van, we can't get it on the freeway. I can't get on the freeway to go from 2100 North in Lehigh to Thanksgiving Highway, Timpanogos Highway, without running into an overheating issue. The water pump on that van is going out, and it's throwing everything off. So I had a call today. We were in Lehigh. Had a call today that I should have been able to respond to in about 25 minutes. We were in Lehigh at the Wendy's here on Lehigh, Maine. And the call was at 2300 South and 1300 East in Salt Lake. So it should have taken me about 25 minutes to get up there and respond to the call. And I showed up on scene an hour and 10 minutes later. It took us quite a while to get to that call. And I was seriously on scene on that call for 4 minutes. From the time that I found the car to the time that I got him unlocked and left, it was 4 minutes. And that's how an unlock should go. Should be like 5 or 10 minutes at the most. And I got another funny lockout story for you too. So I get a phone call from the dispatch company that says, I have a call for you. It's 15 minutes away from your current location. Can you respond to it? Yes, absolutely. I've done doing everything I need to, and it's headed in the right direction to where I needed to go next. So I'll get paid to go to the dealer, go up to one of our record retailers and spend some money over there. So I respond to the call. When they originally dispatched the call, they told me that it was for 2003 Ford Econoline van. For anybody that knows what an Econoline van is, it's that big 15-passenger van that you see like polygamous families and school groups and that kind of stuff driving. And so that's what I was anticipating. So on my way there, I'm planning, okay, as long as it's got the running board on the front, on the driver's side, I've got a little bit of grip on there. I can stand up and stick the rod down in and grab the door latch and I'll be fine. And then I showed up on scene and it was not a Ford Econoline van. It was a Ford Econoline bus. And that makes a big difference on how I can unlock that vehicle and how I can get in and get the keys and get you back on your way. So if you tell somebody that they're showing up for a Ford Econoline van, They're thinking I have plenty of space on the roof. I have plenty of distance that I can grab this latch, grab this lock, and move on and be done with it. And then that's not what happens. I show up and it's a bus, and the cab over the bus makes it so that I can't stick the rod into the door on the door jamb right by the handle where I typically would. So I had to be creative, and I attempted one way on the driver door. It didn't work. So I asked the guy if we could reach through and hit it through the bifold door if it was loose enough. And of course he was like, actually, I didn't even think about that. And he took the rod and he unlocked it. He just reached over and pushed the door button, and it was hilarious. He kind of looked at me and was like, man, if I would have thought about that, I had so many tools in my garage that I easily could have done that with. And it was hilarious. So, guys, if you have a roadside service called out, make sure that you are giving the correct information. It makes a big difference. If we think that we're showing up for a Ford F-150, and it turns out that I'm showing up for a Ford F-350 Super Duty Dually, it changes the way that I'm going to be able to change your tire. And it makes a difference on, is there one or two tires blown? Is it, inside, outside? Is it front, back? All that kind of stuff plays in. So be sure to let your dispatch know, whoever your insurance agent or whoever it is, know what it is that you are sending out for. Because there are companies like myself who are roadside only. I currently do not own a tow truck. I would love to. If I could find somebody to finance one, I would own a tow truck tomorrow. Because I already have those contracts in place. And it's a couple more documents to sign, and a one more piece of insurance, and we're able to get our tow truck underway, and then we can start, helping out with those companies even more. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch this grow. A week in business, we already have 2 primary contracts signed, which means that we are the first response to every single one of those calls. That is a big, big, big deal. It makes a huge difference. As of right now, we have 3 companies that we're currently taking calls for, and we have 3 more companies that we're pending contracts on that should, by the end of the week or beginning of next week, start being activated and start running calls for them. That is why we are getting rid of this van and getting a newer vehicle. We're also looking at buying a service vehicle. That way, Megan can take the Equinox to work in the snow and still have 4-wheel drive, and I can be out in a more professional-looking vehicle. We are going to put stickers on the back of this. We are going to, definitely dress it up for the business. And we'll leave that on there because it's advertising. But there is a lot of changes happening because of those calls. And, every show I'll update you guys on. We're going to start doing a spot in the show that we called the wildest call of the day. And I'm going to tell you guys some of the funnest stories that I experienced doing roadside, some of the coolest things I see, some of the weirdest things I see. You guys will get to ride through this adventure with me. So you're already riding through the spiritual realm with me. I figure we might as well give you something real and physical to ride through with as well. So, it's going to be fun, guys. We're going to kind of try and do some new stuff. We're trying to make the show better for you. We're trying to make it more interesting for everybody to listen to, and give it something for everybody's tastes. So let's kind of get into, we've got some stuff coming up. We've had some things as far as the galleries and that happen that have raised some questions. So let's answer some questions that have been asked. We've already talked a little bit about the show and what's going to happen with that. We've talked a little bit about what's going to happen with the podcast. So everybody now knows that the podcast is only going to be one day a week. We need you guys to decide what day you would like to hear it on. And then we have event questions. So let's kind of answer those for you. The gallery readings. What does your ticket buy? Because that, hasn't been clear enough apparently. So that's fine. We will answer some questions. Your gallery ticket, depending on which event you buy it for, gets you either into an event like the Benson Gristmill event. That $40 ticket got you a sit-in with a group. I can't guarantee you how many is going to be in the group. We went from 2 weeks prior or 3 weeks prior, we had 2 people show up to the Benson Gristmill event. We had 20 show up. So I cannot ever guarantee you the size of the group. But what's going to happen is you're going to come into that group session and, or gallery session, excuse me. You're going to come into the gallery and I am going to try my best to contact somebody for everybody. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're at the mercy of spirit. We're at the mercy of who wants to communicate, who's ready, who has had their time to process and be ready to discuss. And then once we get done with that, I do generally take some time afterwards. For those of you that were there on Friday night, you saw me do it. I do generally take time to go and talk with those individually who have more kind of personal questions. So I'm not going to kind of answer something generic and leave you hanging. If there was something that came up and something that you wanted some more information on, I am happy to sit down with you afterward and try to answer it the best that I can. If it is that your spirit guides or your family or friend, whoever it was that showed up, does not want to talk like that in a group session and they want to sit down with you more privately, it's not something that they will discuss. I have no control over that. The best that I can tell you is if that happens, some people are more private. Some people don't want their stuff broadcasted to everybody. So book a private session, even for an hour. Half an hour. Doesn't matter. We will contact the same person. We will get that information relayed to you. And if it opens up other questions, then of course we'll answer them at that point. If you come to an event, after we have done that, I will generally take about a 10-minute break in between to let everybody kind of sit and breathe and focus in what has happened. Because as everybody knows, a reading can be draining. If you've ever had a reading before, it can be absolutely leveling. If you have not had a reading before and you're listening to this and you're wondering what a reading is like, schedule one. Doesn't have to be with me. Pick whoever your guide sends you to. Pick whoever you feel comfortable reading with. If you don't feel comfortable reading with me, but you want some recommendations, I am not opposed to recommending people for you. It's not about trying to get money. It's not about anything like that. This field is all about helping those who are seeking the help. It's very therapeutic when you do it, and if you sit down with the wrong person, your whole reading can be off. So I am not offended when somebody says, look, I need a reading, but not from you. That's fine. Everybody has different personalities. Everybody has different connection levels. It's totally fine, however it happens. If you have never investigated before, when we get done with our session, with our gallery, we've sat down for 10 minutes, we've kind of had our little break in between, all that good jazz. I will sit down and we will discuss with those that have never investigated the proper way to investigate, how not to provoke, how not to come in and make it a laughing matter. And we went through that whole spiel Friday. And we had a group show up late, so of course they missed the spiel. But they came in, they made it a laughing matter, they made a complete joke out of the whole thing. And it pissed off the spirits to the point where we had zero activity, nothing, when they were in the room until they left. When they left the room and we went back in with a different group, then we had responses, we had activity. It definitely does make a difference, guys. So go in with a serious attitude. You wouldn't go into somebody's house that's alive and make a joke of their house and talk fun of them with them straight to their face. And that's what this group did with the investigation. They came into somebody else's property and laughed and made fun of them and said, yeah, right, this ain't real. And they went away, which almost ruined it for the group that I was working with. And so we took a few people back in there separately that weren't, that wanted to go and see more without that group in there. And we did get a little bit of response. So as far as if you come on just an investigation, if we do an investigation without the reading, I like to investigate just like everybody else does. So just because I'm there doesn't mean that I'm going to read the room from a medium standpoint. I might break out the tools and sit there and laugh with you and, get them talking and have a good time. Some spirits make you laugh. It's just part of the game. And that's fine. We just sit and relax and have a good time. If you have a question, if you're starting to feel off, if it feels like there's some work that needs to be done, then I'm absolutely going to jump into that role, because it's not fair for you to be going through something like that and have somebody that could possibly help you just sit around and stare and go, well, that sucks. That'd be like getting sick and going to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, well, I don't know what to do, so go home. Which they do sometimes anyway. And that's extremely frustrating. So I will never put you in that situation. I will be the person that's right by the side of you, investigating with you, enjoying our time, and then if something happens and we need to sit down and talk, then we will. I think that pretty much kind of sums everything up, guys. That's kind of a good place to leave it for the night. So thank you so much to everybody, seriously, for your support, for love, for following along with us, for listening to the show. I was definitely blown away by the amount of people that said at the gallery that they had listened to this show, between the podcast and the live show. So thank you so much, every one of you, for all that you do for the show. Continue to listen to us. Continue to share. For every share, we may get one more listener, and if that doubles us, that's awesome. The more people that we can reach, the more we can help. So we have 2 pages now. So we do still have the Life of a Utah Medium page on Facebook. If you haven't already done so, jump on there, give us a like. We try to upload all of the podcasts, all of the live broadcasts, and all of that onto there. We also put all of our event stuff on that page. So if you have any questions on an event, prices, dates, locations, all that kind of stuff, that is over on the page on the Life of a Utah Medium. We also now have the page for Mattinson Roadside and Recovery. If you need any kind of roadside service, or if you know of somebody who may need a jump start or a flat tire change or something like that, or if you happen to know of an insurance agent who is looking for somebody to send referrals to, send them to that page, give them my phone number, and we are more than happy to help anybody out. I would love to continue growing this business and turning it into something that we can pass on to the kids. That's really the ultimate goal. So we're going to make a sustainable business here, and that's going to cut things back a little bit on the paranormal side, but only for a minute. We're going to hold back and build this business up, get it to where we can hire somebody to work under us, and then we will do both, and we'll make it happen. So thanks so much, everybody, again for listening. Seriously, I really can't tell you how much it means to us that you continue every week to listen to the show and share it and help us out. We will once again be back live on Spreaker next Wednesday right here, 8 o'clock. And then we will kind of post the updates and talk to everybody, and we will let you know the final decision on the podcast. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Have a great week. We'll see you back here next week live on The Life of a Utah Medium.